We've read about the activities of those who are raised up at Christ's return. Good afternoon, everyone. My apologies. Those who are raised up at the return of Christ. And with that, after some high-level training, these brand new spiritual beings will be in charge of different cities, different regions, different groups of people. These spiritual beings will have the capacity, the knowledge, the forethought to appear when needed to assist their human charges. As if one of those were going to make an incorrect decision, they will be there ready to help. If you would, please turn to John chapter 14 and verse 12. These new spiritual beings will have the skill set, as I said, to guide those who are still in the physical form. It's very similar to the job description that we have as parents right now. We should guide the immature, not just tell them under the penalty of punishment what they should be doing. We need to teach them. Just as you teach a child to think right, he will do right as he learns, not immediately, but as he learns. It's a process, as you parents certainly understand. You let the child decide within your guidelines, within your parameters. You let the child decide, and he will learn the process of making right decisions. The spiritual beings that will assist Christ after his return will have the authority and the ability to do many things beyond what we could ever do in this lifetime. In John chapter 14 and verse 12, Christ said, "Most assuredly, I say unto you, he who believes in me and the works that I do, those things will he do also, and greater works than these will he do." So what is it that we could possibly do that Christ would describe as greater? In search for that answer, for the answer to that question, I'll refer to three encounters with which you are familiar. So I'll run through them rather quickly. The first is found in Luke chapter 17. That was the occasion when 10 lepers were outside the city as Christ was approaching, and they called out to him, begging to be healed. And he did, in fact, heal them. And then later, one of them returned to Christ to offer his thanks. And there was a short conversation, and at the conclusion of the conversation, Christ said, "Arise and depart, your faith has made you well." In the second incident, it is found in Mark chapter 10, and it occurred outside the city of Jericho. That occasion was Bartimaeus, who was blind, and again the crowd was gathering, the crowd was approaching, and Bartimaeus was hollering. He wanted Christ's attention, and the others there around him were assisting him in his endeavor to flag down Christ. And so Christ, in fact, did speak to him, and a short conversation again. And then Christ said, "Go your way, Bartimaeus. Your faith has made you well." Third story, perhaps you've see a pattern here. The third story is a woman who was suffering from a loss of blood, and she was shadowing Christ as he and his entourage were crossing through town. And she came up from behind him, kind of a stealth approach as opposed to Bartimaeus, and she was able to reach out and touch the hem of the garment that Christ was wearing, and he felt that, he sensed that, and he turned to her. And he said, in Mark chapter 5, he said, "Daughter, your faith has made you well." So why these three examples? We're trying to answer the question, what could we possibly do that Christ would describe as greater than the works that he did while he was on earth? We're trying to search for that answer. With these examples, we learn that faith coupled with action works miracles. These people stepped out of their cocoon of comfort and made a move towards Christ. Christ was and Christ is the healer. But these people took action. They took an active role. Right place, right time, right attitude, and right action. What greater works will we do in this lifetime greater than the works of Christ? And that's his words. Christ plays an enormous role in our conversion. We want to change to become spiritually minded. We want to change away from being a member of this debauched society that we currently live in. We want to change to be a Spirit-led Christian. He has given his life, and now we may have access to the Father and to his Holy Spirit. Add to that, the other things that Christ has given to us. He has given us his teachings, and he has given us teachers as well. We can't do this. We can't change without the Father who calls us. We can't know the way without Jesus Christ, who has shown us the way, who leads us to understanding. Nor can we do it without God's Holy Spirit, which is our source of strength. Christ referred to the Holy Spirit as our helper. A helper is part of a team. A helper helps. A helper does not do it all. The math teacher demonstrates the proper way to solve a math problem, but the teacher does not take the test for us. Referring to the role of the Holy Spirit in our conversion, I'm reminded of the story of the mom, the example of the mom. She sacrificed, she gave of herself so that her child could go to undergrad school. And this is the days before student loan program, which has, I would say, kind of corrupted higher education. But in the days before the student loan program, it was a sacrifice to send your child to college. So she sacrificed and sent her child to undergraduate school and then graduate school. And with that, he was very successful in his employment. And after a few years, he went back to mom, and as he reflected on it, and he said, "Mom, thank you very much for your sacrifice, what you did for me. You have enabled me to achieve my goals." The mother, of course, graciously accepted his thank you, but she was the one who knew that young man had potential. He was the one who studied up late at night. He was the one that gave up on the pursuits of idle youth so that he could devote himself to his studies and to his career. Mom knew that. She made it possible. But it was the young man, and Mother knew this. He was the young man who was the author of his success by applying himself to his long-term goals. And so it is with our relationship with Jesus Christ. The Father's Holy Spirit and the gift of Christ have made our conversion possible, coupled with our efforts to overcome self, coupled with our efforts to overcome the evil one. Our effort will have made God's calling successful. Will make God's calling of us complete. Christ cannot do this for us. He alone cannot transform us. And I cannot issue a calling to my wife. I can't convert my children. Neither can Jesus Christ. But each of those people that we love, if God is, the Father is calling them, each of them and each of us can indeed, utilizing God's Holy Spirit, we will have it in us to transform ourselves. But it's going to take some late night studying to obtain our long-term goals. There's work to be done. Key component of understanding is the role of God's Holy Spirit in our conversion. The Father is communicating with you. Please listen. We should listen in those quiet moments when He tells us to turn to the left or to the right. Being here in services, we have the opportunity to speak with and to visit with and to hear from the brethren. There's no better crowd of people to be with because these people are being called. They are being called into the truth, and they are applying themselves. This is the absolutely best place to be, here. We should be here to listen when Christ's chosen and trained ministers are speaking to us. Christ said that the Comforter to come would give them the correct words to say to us. In a few weeks, in 2 weeks, we will celebrate the Feast of Pentecost and the receipt of God's Holy Spirit and the receipt of the law of obedience. The law of obedience in our heart, which is the beginning of the fulfillment of Christ's prediction stated in John chapter 14 and verse 12, that we would accomplish a greater work than Christ Himself. How is that possible? Jesus Christ was born in perfection, and He lived as a perfect example for us. On the other hand, we were born in corruption, and we have lived it. And we live in a corrupted society. If by utilizing God's Holy Spirit, we can overcome this evil society, this world of Satan, we will have accomplished the greatest task humanly possible with the help of God's Holy Spirit.